This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is Shawn McCalman. Shawn, how's it going?
Doing well. Just got a big win, and yeah, just kind of coming down from the week and the fight and everything else.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, last Friday, you picked up a big win versus Money Powell on Overtime Boxing. What was that just like whole experience like? I know it was like pretty big event on DAZN.
It was a great experience. Got my first taste of what it's like to have to deal with promo and fight week events and fight week obligations and media obligations and things like that. So it was a great, like I said, a great experience. I was glad to actually go through all that before a fight to actually see what it was like and know that I can, deal with all those things and still stay focused on the task at hand and, come out with the win at the end of all of it.
Yeah, for sure. And you were 13-0 and now you're 14-0. But I believe you were the underdog, right?
According to like sports books and things like that, but I never see myself as an underdog. Going into the fight, I didn't see myself as an underdog. I didn't really understand the perception. I felt it was more maybe because of he had a bigger name than I did. I mean, I understand, I'm relatively unknown still.
Mm-hmm.
And just about everyone I fight is probably going to be more popular or more of a big name than I am, just because I don't have as deep an amateur background as most of the guys I face. But it was a weird experience going into a fight as an underdog.
Do you think
it wouldn't be my first time, but it was weird considering the circumstances.
So do you think like him and his team were like sleeping on you?
No, we're familiar with each other. I've said it a few times throughout the week when they asked. But yeah, we have some history together. If you even go back and look through my Instagram and his, we actually follow each other. We exchange likes on each other's posts and things like that. So we know each other. We sparred some years ago. I actually took a trip down to Atlanta and was working at the different gyms for a week, and he was one of the guys I got to work with. Those few years ago. So we've known each other, I want to say a good like 6-7 years, but it was just, business before pleasure.
Gotcha. So yeah, I gotta ask, so is that, I guess, obviously an amateur you probably fought like, friends or acquaintances and stuff like that, but like, is it in going into the pro ranks, like is it like a weird feeling that you like know the guy, you don't want to like even like obviously like you don't want to like hurt him, you know what I mean? But like versus a guy that you don't know and you're just like, all right, I don't know this guy, so I'm going to kill.
I keep that mentality regardless.
Yeah.
He's not the first guy I fought that I knew. Funny
Okay.
enough, Marquise Moore, the first undefeated guy. Well, no, yeah, first and only undefeated guy I've got to fight so far. But we actually knew each other as well. Like I said, even though I'm not as big a name as these guys that I get in the ring with, a lot of them already know who I am. We've run across each other in one way or another. My name has, been in plenty of circles with high level guys. Like I've been around, I've been around for a while. I may be like under the radar, but a lot of people do know me. So going again, it wouldn't be the first time I've had to fight a guy I knew, but I keep that same mentality of I'm gonna rip this guy's head off, regardless of if I know you or not, just because, this is my career we're talking about. I'm sure, my opponents, whether I know them or not, have the same mentality of if I get the chance to hurt this guy, I'm gonna take full advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. No, that makes sense. And then so you grew up in Colorado, right?
Yeah, born and raised.
Nice. So then, yeah, like tell me a little bit like how you got into boxing.
Well, I was playing so through high school I was a two-way starter on the football field, and I was getting ready to go off to college. I completed my first year of college, and I knew at the end of that I didn't want to go back. I didn't have any plans to play football anymore, and I just wanted to try something new. I mean, like I said in previous times, like boxing has been something that I've like known about, been around heard
Mhm.
of, seen fights, watched pay-per-views. I have, boxing has been a part of my life, since I was young. I didn't participate, but I've always known about it and always like, respected the sport and admired like the great fighters. So once, like I said, I knew my.
I turn it off.
I'm talking to him, but yeah. So once I knew my role was coming to an end with football, it was just like, let me take my athletic ability and transfer it to something else.
Yeah, definitely. So right after that, that's when you started, in the amateurs and stuff, like right after your first year of college.
Yeah, yeah. I dropped out of college and went. I the summer after my freshman year came, I spent that whole summer looking around for gyms. Found a
Mhm.
gym I liked, started training, and I think I had my first like two amateur fights. Not even 2 months into my training. I think I was training for about a month before I actually started. Having fights, and I think it worked out for the better. I'm a sink or swim kind of guy.
Mhm.
You throw something at me, and I just adjust on the fly.
So how old are you? Like 19, 20?
I was 19 at the time. I was 19 going on 20. I was about 3 4 months away from my 20th birthday.
Gotcha. And then you also have a taekwondo background.
Yeah, that I did for a while. Like I said, that was the first sport I ever participated in. Period. When I started doing that, I want to say about 6 7. Um, won numerous tournaments around the country. My older brother and I, we were very dominant on the taekwondo scene as kids. Like I said, we would travel around. We won everything there was to win here in Colorado. Won just about everything there was to win around the country. My brother and I were very dominant forces in taekwondo.
And then yeah, what was your decision? Like how many years were you an amateur and then you turned pro? I think it was pretty short, right?
I had about a 5 year amateur career. I want to say I started in 2013, into 2013, and I turned pro in 2018, April 2018, or no, September 2018. No,
Gotcha.
I
And
get
then
it
yeah,
mixed up, but yeah, 2018.
yeah. What was that? What was like the first pro fight like? Did you were you like more nervous or like than an amateur fight?
No, not at all. Honestly, I knew I was. By the time I turned pro, I had already had my heart set on turning pro.
Yeah.
My last amateur tournament that I did, the National Golden Gloves, I didn't like the format of it. There were so many fighters there that they had to cut the minutes on the rounds, things like that. I just didn't like the structure of amateur boxing anymore, and I was dead set on turning pro. I mean, even when I started boxing initially, it was always about me turning pro and becoming the best professional I could. I went through the amateurs and all that, got the seasoning I needed so that I would be confident as a professional, but it was always about turning professional for me. So I was just as comfortable as, anything else.
Yeah. And then I'd say like your first like your big like say your first big win was versus Vaughn Alexander, I'd say. 15 he was 15-5 at the time. And then
Yeah.
since then you beat a 10-0 guy, you beat a 23-3 guy, and then 13-1 guy. So what's next for you?
Next thing I would like to do is just continue to gain experience. For me, I mean, I've kind of already shown that I'm willing to take whoever is offered to me, whether they're
Mhm.
tough. I'm willing to take tough fights. But where I'm at right now, being 14-0, I think it's about time to step up like the rounds. I would really like to get a 10 round fight in before the year is over. I think my team is actually planning on putting me in a 10 round fight. So we can start to look at top 15 spots, mandatories and different things like that, really start to put my foot on the gas and try to make
Mhm.
a run at title contention.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you kind of mentioned it before that you like a lot of people in the boxing world know who you are, and you sparred with like top competition, like Berlinga, and I know you trained with Steven Nelson too. Like, so what is like experiences like that? Like, how much does that help you?
It's I would say it's good just be because I get to get high level work. High
Yeah.
level work is the name of the game. To stay prepared for fights. By the time you get into a fight, you're fully confident going in. Most times the sparring that I get is tougher than the fights that I have. Like the guys I'm working with are higher level than the guys that I'm fighting in a lot
Mhm.
of cases. So yeah, it's just, it's great. Like they say, iron sharpens iron, and
Mhm.
having that experience in my back pocket, knowing that I got this kind of work, and most guys that I'm fighting probably aren't getting that kind of work. It just gives me a little mental advantage, or I have that extra bit of sharpness or that extra bit of grit going into the late rounds, or just like I said, the extra bit of confidence that that your preparation was top tier going into a fight.
Yeah, and talk about like how, like, I know like an average boxing fan doesn't know, things about like, cutting weight and selling tickets at the beginning of your career when you're at the lower levels. Like, explain like the grind of boxing, like the grit and grind that people don't see.
Well, yeah, if you're, like I said, if you're like me and you came out of the amateurs like as not a blue chip prospect, or as somebody who didn't have a lot of coverage when it was time to turn pro, yeah, it's tough. Like I said, having to cut weight and trying to maintain a full training camp while selling tickets, and having to be in contact with all the people in your hometown, your family, your friends, and even strangers sometimes, and trying to figure out times where you can coordinate for them to come pick up tickets, or you go drop them off, and worrying about all the things that a fighter shouldn't have to worry about other than the fight. So it's not a fun process, but like I said, it's worth it if you have a vision of where you'd like to be. Then the grind is definitely worth it. Nobody, I won't sit here and act like it's an easy thing to do, but like I said, you get to where a point where I am, you start to really appreciate where you came from, and again, that's even an experience that I feel like um, the top guys may not have. Like that's something
Yeah.
that I can even pull motivation from in training and in fights and things like that, knowing where I came from and where I am now, and the things I'm willing to do to not have to go back to that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. And this year you signed with Main Events and Fighters First Management. So, how'd they both discover you?
So Adrian Clark, he's someone I've known for a while, even before we actually started doing business together. He actually reached out to me after I beat Von Alexander, just to kind of let me know, like, hey, keep up the good work. I see what you're doing, yada yada yada. And that was huge for me, just because I had been a fan of his work for years prior. The Protect Yourself at All Times platform and different things like that. I was already familiar with who he was and was a big fan of like what he was doing. So for him to reach out to me was huge. Um, so we got that one, getting that done obviously was like a dream come true for me. But the whole main events thing came together. Crazy story. Like I said, I was at the gym with my wife, preparing to go do another workout at the time. I didn't have a fight coming up or anything like that. I was just, just keeping myself in shape like I always do, keeping myself sharp like I always do. And I believe like if you don't have that mentality, then you can't take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, that can, just fall out of the sky and fall into your lap. But yeah, so I was at the gym with my wife, getting ready to do another workout, and I get a message from Joe Rotunda, the head guy at Main Events. He asked me, "Hey, would you be interested in coming out and working with Sergey Kovalev for a week?" And I'm thinking like there's no way this is like legitimate. I'm thinking somebody's just messing with me. So I go and check out all his information. I look him up on the internet, and everything checked out. So I'm like, you know, like hell yeah, I would like to go. I spent a week out there working with him. The experience was great. The work was great. Felt like I definitely impressed the people who saw the work, and phone calls were made, and we just started talking, and the ball got rolling from there.
Dang, that's dope. So it just kind of like, I don't want to say like semi randomly happened.
Yeah, very randomly happened, just because like it even came, thank God, like a lot of times when you get messages through Facebook, if it's somebody you're not friends with or somebody you don't know, it won't even like give you a notification. Most times it just goes to your message request. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming, I guess this is just meant to be, because it actually like managed to get past the request and all that and straight to my inbox. And yeah, like I said, once I saw that, I was like, there's no way I can turn this down. I took my wife and my son with me, and we spent the week in LA. And yeah, like I said, gaining great experience and got to meet Buddy McGirt, which was also a great experience. And yeah, like I said, opportunities like that, you can't take advantage of them if you're not living the life of a fighter at all
Yeah.
times, you know.
Yeah, that's dope. So did you like before you had management and the promoter, you were just doing everything, you and like your coach and your family?
I had a manager at the
Mhm.
time, and yeah, things just kind of weren't working out, you know, just to
Mhm.
put it lightly. But yeah, like things just weren't kind of working out with them. So once I had the opportunity to go ahead and break away, I went ahead and made the leap of faith and decided to yeah, test the free agency market. You know, like a football player or a basketball player. I went ahead and
Yeah.
tested the free agency, and yeah, things happened to work out for me.
Yeah, that's dope. And then got to ask you the main question: who do you want next?
Um, like I said, man, I think I've shown to this point in my career that I'm willing to fight whoever they put in front of me or whoever's offered to me. I've never said no to a fight, so but I also have a great team. Jolie Mazzone as my manager. She's amazing at her job. I love her. She's great at what she does. So I'm just kind of riding things out. You know, whoever they put in front of me is who I'll knock down next. Eventually, you know, the plan obviously is to go after the biggest and the baddest in the
Yeah,
division. But yeah, until we get to that point, whoever they put in front of me.
for sure. All right, you ready for some fun questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, what's your favorite cheat meal?
Not so much a cheat meal. I love ice cream. I
All right.
love ice cream.
What'd you eat after the fight last week?
Um, we actually went to this cheesesteak spot. I think it was called Woody's Cheesesteaks. Like a late night spot, man. They were amazing. I had a giant chicken cheesesteak.
There you go. What's something like people don't know about you?
Um, let me think. What am I willing to reveal? um, I don't know. I'm a very, I guess, well, yeah, I guess this is something people don't know about me. I'm very laid back, very like chill. I don't like to go out much. I don't do much other than just boxing. Like boxing is my life right now.
Mhm.
I don't really enjoy the party scene. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't have any bad habits or anything that is pulling my focus away from what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a family man. Yeah, I'm very focused on my job, and this is like my life right now.
Yeah, for sure. I know you grew up playing football. Like, who was your favorite player growing up?
Um, as a
Or
kid, I was a
players?
huge Terrell Davis fan. I loved the Broncos, obviously, but as I got older and they started to become a not so good of a team, I lost my love for them. But I was a huge Terrell Davis fan as a kid.
What about any boxing people, boxers that you have like inspiration from?
Terrence Crawford,
Mhm.
for obvious reasons, I've got to spend a lot of time around him, watching him train, watching him spar, um, taking bits and pieces I can from the interactions that we do have and what I do observe from him, and the fact that he came from a small town that wasn't a big boxing hotbed, and to now being recognized as the best in the world. So definitely him. Another one of my favorites is Andre Ward. I really admire like the mental aspect of his game, and like the concept of mental toughness and the importance of mental toughness, um, and also the spirituality, the the aspect of his faith and how big that is to him. And yeah, I really enjoy those kind of guys, like the quiet killers, because
Yeah,
I feel like I'm one of those kinds of guys. I don't say much, I don't talk much, I don't do a lot of banter before fights. But once we get in the ring, that alternative ego kind of takes over.
yeah, for sure. All right, I got to ask you some predictions for these upcoming fights
Okay.
and these like crossover fights. So, how do you think Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou will play out?
Honestly, I think Ngannou's very dangerous, of course. But I think if Tyson Fury could deal with somebody who has phenomenal power like Deontay Wilder, along with, even though he's not the most skilled, but he is a dedicated boxer, if he could deal with someone like him who has, if not more or at least the same amount of power, I think he'll be able to deal with Ngannou with no problems. Early on, it might be dangerous, but I look at it like Tyson Fury versus a D level Deontay Wilder, basically.
Yeah. Are you familiar with like the influencer boxing?
Yeah, I mean, I see it. I can't say it like I watch. I watch Jake Paul. I won't lie. I do like
Yeah.
watching Jake Paul fight, but other than that, I don't really watch much. I am familiar with him, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting because like the October 14th, it's like KSI versus Tommy Fury,
yeah,
Logan Paul versus Dylan Danish. Like in my like, I think I don't like. I'm pretty sure Tommy Fury is gonna win,
I
and
don't, I
you
don't
don't
know.
know.
I mean, KSI, as much as I, again, like, these are guys who are clearly not like dedicated boxers. I mean,
Yeah,
the kid he can punch at the very least. Tommy Fury is not a very high level boxer. I mean, I know he did beat Jake Paul, but yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, well, I definitely think he can get the job done, but I look at it like it's whoever lands the biggest punch first. A lot of times with those guys, it's whoever lands the biggest punch first.
yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, how about in your weight class? We got Canelo versus Charlo, September 30th.
I actually think that's a tougher fight for Canelo than people are willing to admit.
Yeah,
It all depends though. It depends on the game plan of Charlo. I'll say this: like, I think a lot of that fight is dependent on the way that Charlo fights. If he's not assertive, if he doesn't assert his dominance early and try to get to Canelo early, I think he'll eventually get worn down and just be in a unanimous decision. I don't see him getting stopped at all,
hmm
um, just because he's a very high level guy. I mean, he'll have more than enough to be able to get through the fight, even if he loses, to finish on his feet. But I think if he doesn't assert himself early on, then he'll get dominated and beat by a wide unanimous decision.
yeah, definitely. And last question: how'd you get the nickname Amazing? The Amazing.
It actually came from now deceased, rest in peace, to Jimmy Staten. It came from a guy who actually he had made a trip. One of my old coaches actually brought him out to check me out. He got on the phone with him. He tells him, "Hey, I got this kid I'm training. I want you to come check him out. Let me know what you think of him." And he comes and watched me spar. This is very, very early on in my career. I want to say I was still an amateur, maybe with less than 20 fights at the time, but he just saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself at the time, in all honesty. The first thing he said as soon as I got out the ring, he was like, "Man, that was amazing." He just kept saying, that was amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. Yada, yada, yada. So it was just the one word that stuck out to him that he could use to describe what he saw was amazing. And it kind of just stuck, we just started, okay, we'll call you the Amazing, it just kind of evolved over time and it stuck with me ever
Yeah.
since.
No, that's dope. I mean, when people give you the nickname, that's like the best type of nickname you can get.
Yeah, I definitely didn't self-proclaim. I didn't proclaim myself to be amazing. I mean, I do now, but at the time, it was like I said, it was
Yeah,
a huge boost in my confidence. Just
yeah,
to have someone come and look at you in your your raw, your greenness and your rawest form, and to say, no, this is somebody who really is amazing. That
yeah,
meant a lot to me. That's why I still keep it to this day.
yeah, definitely. Well, Sean, I appreciate you coming on, and could you let the listeners know where they can follow you on social media?
I'm most active on Instagram. If you want to give me a follow there, at theamazing.sm, TheAmazing.sm, Instagram. I'm also on Twitter at Sean M5280. Not as active on there, but if you give me a follow, I'll give you a follow back. I definitely would appreciate it. And if you can follow me on Facebook as well at The Amazing Shawn McCalman. I'm pretty active across all of those. Keep your eye on me. More big things to come in the future.